Almonds all around the Central Valley are getting ready to start blooming. Bees are being put into place. As soon as these buds turn into blossoms, the chaos is on. And we're going to give you a couple things to think about to try and take advantage of every single one of those blossoms and turn them into profit for your farm. I want to tell you guys a little story about the background of this field and see if it rings true for anything that you're having to deal with as growers. This field had been neglected for several years before the new owners took it over. They bought this field this last year and realized that there was a severe deficit. The trees had been watered improperly, bad nutrient management, it's sandy ground, and they had leached everything out of it. So they started basically with nothing. Now when you look at the trees, there's still some potential, but nothing compared to where they could be. So the question that we ask is, how can we take advantage of every single opportunity that we're given now? All right, there's not a lot of roping, there's not nearly the amount of buds on trees like these as there could be. But if you set just 10% of your blossoms, you will have more almonds than you will ever know what to do with throughout the growing season. Your trees will be splitting in half from all the weight. There's no way that your tree can handle anything more than probably 7 or 8% is what most of the studies show. 10% is absolutely max. So if you can set 10% of those blossoms, pollinate them, and bring them to a nutlet form throughout the season, you will have more crop than you know what to do with. So we know we're going to have fewer blossoms on these trees, so we want to take advantage of every opportunity that we're given. What are some tips to take advantage of every single opportunity that you have in your field? I want to give you guys 2 key points. All right, the first one, your tree has to have energy. The first thing you need to think about, all right, how was it taken care of last year? What did my fall nutrition look like? And how much energy is in the plant? Energy is almost always looked at in phosphorus form. Early season phosphorus is how your tree derives its energy to push out those blossoms, to then turn it into a nutlet, and then start into the growing season. The problem is phosphorus isn't available in your soil until soil temps get around 65 degrees. Right now we're sitting at about 52 degrees for soil temps. That's rainwater here in Central California. So especially if you have sandy ground, your soil is about 52 degrees Fahrenheit right now. Phosphorus comes available with microbiology. When that microbiology gets more active in your soil and you get up to 65 degrees soil temp, then it starts to release a lot more of that energy. Number 2, how do we increase the viability of our blossoms? When we look at our blossoms and we think, okay, how can I get as many of those pollinated as possible? What do I need to do to make them more attractive to bees? So bees see heat. All right, so when bees are out looking at all the flowers that they want to pollinate, they will go after the flowers that are warmer first. There are several studies that have shown this. So if you can increase the internal temperature of your blossom, all of a sudden your blossoms look a lot more attractive than your neighbor's blossoms, and you're going to get better pollination. Bees are more enticed to go after those blossoms when they look like there's a better chance of them getting food from them. So the warmer the blossom, the more the bee is attracted to them. We'll call it red. They turn a deeper red color. Bees want that warmth in the blossom. How do we get that? Typically, that's from microbiology inside of the blossom. Now, there's a second effect that you get as a bonus to that. When you increase the internal temperature of the flower, you're less susceptible to frost damage. So keep those 2 things in mind as we go through the bloom season. You want to make sure your tree has enough energy that it can bring those blossoms to fruition, and you want to make sure that those blossoms are as viable as possible. And we want to make them attractive. We want to work with nature to give you the best outcome possible. And when you work with nature, the possibilities are endless.